there's a reason why I shut that door. So what we've got here is a 2011 Vauxhall Astra J 1.6 16 valve Eco Twat. Sorry, Eco Tech. Anyway, we have just bought this car in and we're going to go through it and see what is wrong with it. And I have no idea whatsoever. I don't even know what kind of price is going to be put on this, but this car is going to be put on the sales lot. Because we've just bought the car in, we need to sort of go through it and make sure there are certain things that are right on it, if you know what I mean, because people are going to be road testing this. So we need to check that the tyres are good, brakes work, the lights work, the wipers, seat belts, seats are secure, stuff like that. So anyway, the reason I shut that door, just so I get past that point, is the first thing is to check the lights on this car. And having that door like that means I can check the headlight beams are about right. There's our dip and main beam, so they're working. I won't spend too much time inside here. I mean, most people have actually seen inside a Vauxhall Astra. But one thing I notice, the gear lever cover. This is an automatic transmission, by the way. But look at that cover, now it's all chipped off there. That's really terrible. If I come to see a car and it looked like that, that would put me off. But I know, because I've changed a few of these in the past, you can get these off eBay or from Box or whatever and just replace them. That's the best thing to do with that. So, we've got locking wheel nuts. These are okay cars, I guess. I don't really know a great deal about them. I guess the main thing is just to check over all the switches and controls and make sure everything works. So ignition. There we go, the dials have done their sweep. No lights on the dash apart from the fuel light flashing. The date is being displayed. Does the stereo work? And if I can find out which button to press. Oh yes, that works. Air conditioning. Cool. Oh yes. So by the sounds of it, it looks like most of the actual equipment in this car is working. Oh, even the little lights on the sun visors. I know that these little flaps are a bit delicate, and if you're not careful they snap off. I've had many an Astra that they've been damaged. But it looks okay. Oh, we've got a little hole in the fabric here. That'll have to be sewn up. We actually have a needle and thread kit here, but just for this very scenario. Yep, horn works. Yeah. You always got to get hold of the driver's seat and give it a real good rock, because you never know what size people are sometimes sitting in these things and they can break the frames. Check all the seat belts, make sure there's no rips in them, especially on the driver's one once again. However, I have found many a time in the back seats, you get a seat belt that gets trapped in the door and on the door striker, and it damages the seat belt. So, but it's looking okay. I've never been actually keen on Vauxhalls, but I don't know. They're a bit bland if you ask me. The interior in this car is a bit like chocolatey brown. It doesn't really inspire any kind of inspiration, but you know, it's just a regular car. It'll just family run around. Oh, no spare wheel once again. All you get is a toolkit. I guess you could, there is actually room in here for a space saver, but no doubt that's an optional extra. Reversing sensors. I'm not seeing a whole lot wrong. A few little scratches on the passenger rear door. They may well buff out. Oh, and there's a familiar sight of a Vauxhall. The old door check straps. They're always getting worn out and click, 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 click. So I don't know whether we'll replace that. If someone was to buy it and complain about it, then I guess we will. But on the face of it, at least the bodywork's in good condition. Daytime running lights are working. So I think we'll have a little look under the bonnet. Well, here we are, our 1.6 Ecotec engine. The guy who sold this car has actually done some work to it, and I'm just checking just to make sure. But it's got a brand spanking new water pump down there, and also I've removed the two little Torx screws because it says it has a brand new cam belt on it, and yes it does. That is a brand spanking new camshaft drive belt, and I can see the new tensioner down there as well. So that's all good. That's one job that's I won't have to do. So that's a natural fact, to fit a cam belt on one of these cars is quite an expensive little job, and you also need the actual special tools to line up the pulleys and everything. So that's good. Anyway, what can we see under here that could be wrong? Brake fluid level, which is okay. You've just got to sweep around underneath the bonnet, checking all the pipes, connections, stuff like that. One thing I have noticed, the coolant reservoir bottle, he's changed the water pump, but he's filled it up with basically what is clear water. I do have a little antifreeze tester here. At least 4 of them floats should be floating, if you know what I mean, but only one is. So the antifreeze level in here is probably about around about 0. So I'm going to have to drain the water out of this and put some new antifreeze in it, because now getting to the winter time, it's going to start to freeze, and we don't want to actually have the water in here, especially if this is sat on the sales lot. We don't want to have the water freeze inside the engine and then crack or kick out one of the core plugs or something like that. It could cause us all kinds of problems. So we're going to give it an antifreeze change or a coolant change. We'll check the engine oil if I've got my piece of rag. Oh yeah, brand spanking new oil, that's very clean. So nice. It's had an oil change, the guy did say. So yeah, apart from that, everything else around here is looking pretty good. On the previous Astra I done, behind that exhaust manifold there's an oil cooler, which the seals go hard and flattened and everything, brittle should I say, and then the oil mixes with the water. So, but I did look down there, it's a bit harder here but to show on camera, but I did look down there and it all looks very clean, like it could well have been off at some point and been done already. So I'm hoping it has. But yeah, nothing under here to sort of like worry about apart from the coolant, which I shall do shortly. Right Tyler, if you can take the car up, it's your job today.
Yes, sir.
Just in case. I'm not actually expecting to find much wrong with this car. It is a 2011, so hopefully there won't be that much damage on it, or well, at least corrosion wise. I'll start off with the bottom suspension arms, the back bushes. Like everything, these can wear out, so you have to get like a screwdriver in there and give them a good lever. That's if you can't actually see the bit of bush in there that should be attached, because they can become separated. That one actually feels good. Track rod end, anti-roll bar drop links. Always checking for the little boot covers. Make sure they're not split and leaking grease. Drive shaft joints, bottom ball joints, brake pads look good. Brake hoses. It's a bit oily here at the very front where the air conditioner is, but just up there is your oil pressure switch, which looks to be brand spanking new. So I'm kind of guessing, being a Vauxhall, the oil pressure switch, they're quite prone for leaking. There's a new like angled connector on our bottom radiator hose there that's been replaced. Front engine or gearbox mount there, they can get knocked out, that big bush in there. That's all in one piece. So gearbox looks dry, our auto gearbox. However, the actual subframe here has got a little bit of surface oil in it, nothing dripping though. So I'm not quite sure where that's come from. One thing I did notice, this plastic panel on this side, on the driver's side, it's broke off at the front, it's been damaged. So I guess that's going to need either replacing or screwing up there, because if the wind catches that, it's going to flap around. I don't know, everything looks pretty much as it should do. Nothing to scream about at the minute. Exhaust flexible section, they can get ever so weak if you're not careful, but that feels good. Right, I'll start making my way to the back end. Brake pipes front to rear look ever so good, as do the fuel hoses pipes. You've got to check them right up where they go up there. Rear subframe bush, you'd get a lever just in there to check that, but from what I can see it looks okay, so I shan't put a lever on it just yet. I've only got two hands, one hand's holding the torch. Coil springs, rear suspension support bars or track arms, rear handbrake calipers. Brake pads, from what I can see from here at the back, look good. However, I shall jack the back end up. Looks like a bit of underseal has been sprayed at the back here, unless the machine at the factory went a bit berserk. You've got to watch these brackets don't break off the rear exhaust section. No, just as I expected really. Not a great deal to see. I'm surprised though, a car like this modern, you're using the old horse and cart suspension with the H frame at the back. So it's not totally independent suspension, is it? So, oh, I missed that. Charcoal canister for our catalytic converter. Right, what do the seals look like? Good, you would expect them to be. Nothing wrong there. I'll just whiz the other side, you never know. Oh, we have a few bubbles of rust just there. That will probably need treating. That will need taking off and filling and respraying just there. Now, this being the common McPherson strut suspension, we have to let the suspension hang to check the ball joints. So I've actually jacked it up on the back of the subframe, or you can jack it up on the chassis or the seals. I'm going to get my bar and I'm going to put it between the hub and the bottom arm, just there. And then I'm going to lever up and down. You can lever up and down like quite hard, or you can do it very gently, because sometimes you can feel play either way. There's nothing there. Sometimes you can put the bar between the wheel and the bottom of the arm and lever up, or put the bar underneath the tyre and lever the wheel up and down and see if you can see anything. There's actually no play in this ball joint whatsoever anyway, but you'd also get hold of the drive shaft and rock it up and down, turn the wheel a little bit and check it again, just to make sure there's no play in the actual inner or outer or inner joints. We'll have a quick look at what we can see from under here, especially things like wheel rims, inner part of the tyres, make sure there's no cuts or lumps or anything like that. However, this tyre is getting a little bit low on tread on the inner edge, so I'd say the tracking could well be out. The rest of the tyre is good. This tyre would actually still pass an MOT, but it's getting a little bit close there. Right then, I shall check the wheels, wheel bearings, springs, anything I can see. If I find anything, I'll let you know. The brake pads are almost brand new, which is good, and the discs look good too. No ridge on them. Get your valve here, tyre valve, and give it a good rock, because sometimes they can split in there, and then if you rock them, they'll start hissing and losing air. Obviously check the outside of the tyres, no lumps or cuts or anything like that. The coil spring is all in one piece, no breakages there. Metal brake pipes, that's what you want to be checking as well, make sure they're not corroded. If I turn the wheel out towards me, I can sort of like get a better view of the tread now. Although this tyre does need changing, I guess, if it's going to be sold. Make sure the brake ferrules on your brake hoses are all good and not corroded. They do tend to corrode on Vauxhalls and Fords, I guess. But no, I'm not seeing a great deal wrong. The only other thing I'd say, although we've checked the ball joints with a bar in between the hub and the bottom arm, now would be the time to actually rock the wheel. So when you've got the wheel out like that, you get under it at the 3 and 9 o'clock position and give it a good rock, because sometimes when it's like that, that's when you'll get the play in the bottom ball joint. This one's obviously good. And do the same thing with the wheel turned out the other way, give it a good rock. Obviously you can use your bar again, and it's 6 and 9, or 6 and 12 o'clock position, give it a good rock. Spin it to check for any wheel bearing noise. We're all good. Well, not much going on at the rear end. I will point out here, this car has got an electronic handbrake. I do not like electronic handbrakes. When they go wrong, they can leave your wheels stuck and it's hard to get them off. But this one here, it's pretty difficult to see, but just down here, there's a stop where this lever here, this handbrake lever stops on its end of its travel, on the off position. That is where it should be. When handbrake cables get seized up, this lever will be pulled in further. So we know that this one's good. It's just something to keep an eye on. And also the wheel can spin nicely, which there's nothing binding at all. The rear brakes, from what I can see here, look ever so good. They're not far off being brand new. And apart from our driver's front tyre on the inner edge, the other 3 tyres on this car are all very good. So there's not a hell of a lot wrong really to to shout about. So it's kind of what I expected really. Nothing really out of place. I mean, this is like 114,000 miles. I guess it hasn't done bad. I better just check the actual brakes from this side of the wheel rather than from underneath. Them discs are very good. It looks like it's been sitting around, mind you, for a little while, because a little bit of rust on there. Surface rust, by the way. But the actual pads they are pretty much brand new. So yeah, not bad. One thing I did notice, which I'll probably have to do, is like these plastic caps here. I'll have to find one for that wheel nut, because I think it looks a bit tacky when you've got them caps missing. It's the same as when you've got the chrome wheel nuts and then the chrome cap comes off and you've just got this sort of like grey nut left. It looks horrible and out of place. All is good. Okay, I've removed the spring clip on this bottom radiator hose because I'm going to actually pull this clean off the radiator and dump all the water out. I have my antifreeze mixture here. These Vauxhall Astras are a little bit of a sod when it comes to actually replacing the coolant. Some cars you can just fill the header tank up with coolant, they will self-bleed and there's no problems whatsoever. However, these Astras are a bit of a different story. So I'm going to fill this header tank up for as much as I dare, to the point where that's pretty much full. Now, here's what we've got to do. On the driver's side of the radiator at the top, there is a little screw there. You have to, well, not remove it, but you have to loosen it with like a big screwdriver. And that will let the air out of the radiator. You'll probably hear the air hissing out of the radiator, and then you will see the water come out. It's starting to drip out now, and also at the same time the water level should drop in the expansion tank. I shall just undo that a tiny bit more. Yeah, that's actually a nice steady stream of water coming out of that now. When the water's actually running out like that, that means most of our air is out, so I'll now tighten that up. But if you think that is the air bled out of the system, then think again. You see that header tank? That is absolutely full of water at the moment. But I know for a fact there is still a massive airlock within this engine, and there's a heater hose just down here on our thermostat housing, which I'm going to loosen quite a way. You watch this. I'm going to remove this heater hose like so, and now the water in the expansion bottle drops down. There you go. And there's nothing coming out of that heater hose. So what I should do, now the bottle is empty, I shall now fill it up with some more coolant. There we go, that's pretty damn well full now. That's full again. Now I shall remove that hose again. Now it's coming out. Now it's coming out. So what I'll do is I'll tighten this hose back up, and now we can actually run the engine. Inside the car, this is quite important as well. I shall start the engine up, but also I want to make sure that our heater controls, the actual hot to cold, is set to the fully hot position, and I want our fan on position number 1 or number 2, and preferably I want the air being directed to the air face vents here, so I can quickly come in and check we've got warm air, because as soon as this engine starts to warm up, I need to know that there's warm air coming out of the heater to make sure we haven't got an airlock within the heater. I shall let this run up for a little while. As I've noticed, there is oil. I've noticed oil in the header tank now. I didn't notice that earlier when it was clear water. So I think what's happened is they have replaced the seals on the oil cooler, that's for sure, because it looks all pretty new down there. They've drained all the water out, but they haven't flushed it. So what I'm going to have to do is put some dishwasher tablets in there or some chemicals to clear the cooling system out, degrease it all, remove all the oil, and then I'll have to replace the coolant once again. I've had the engine running for about 10 minutes now. The temperature gauge is starting to go up. The actual central heater vents, if I put my hand there, I can feel the warm air. And if I take the revs up, I'm definitely feeling the warm air. So that's a good sign. Now I can feel hot air coming out of these vents. I know that there's no air in our heater system, so we've got no airlocks left. That's what we want. Nice warm air coming out of there. And back under our bonnet, we haven't got to take the heater hose off again to drain anything there. We know that's fine. But what I would advise is on the radiator, where our bleed screw is down here, I So we'd loosen that once again and make sure we've got a stream of water coming out of there. If we have, then all we have to really do is to run the engine up and wait until the thermostat opens, which is here, and this hose here should get nice and warm. And also make sure our coolant expansion bottle is topped up, and once it's all run up properly and done and dusted, wait till the cooling fan comes in. We want to make sure the cooling fan is working as well. Once all that's done, we can let the cooling system cool down and then start it up the next day, top the level up, and that's it, we're finished. However, for me, because I've noticed there was oil in the coolant, and by the way, when you get oil in the coolant, it's bloody horrible to get rid of. So I'm going to have to put chemicals. I've been using dishwasher tablets that have been crushed up in there to start with. That's what I'll use. And then if that doesn't work, I'll probably get some proper chemicals from motor factories to put in there so I can flush the cooling system out properly. If it was cooling in the engine oil, it'd be a lot easier. All you've got to do is drain it. But like I said, when you get oil in the cooling system, it's not very easy to get rid of it. It's a bit of a pain, but that's what it is. Well, after 2 flushes later with chemicals, I have finally got the coolant pretty much as it should be. There is still a few oil spots in there, but I'm not going to do no more. Hopefully it will just eventually disperse. I've got the bulk of it out. So now, let's go for a run. Now this particular model is what's called an SRI, Vauxhall Astra SRI. Does anybody actually know what SRI stands for? Is it sports refinement inside or sports rally injection? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Let me put my foot down a little bit first, even though it's automatic. I've drove worse. It does accelerate okay, I must say. It's not that bad. I'm not a Vauxhall Astra fan. They don't do nothing for me. This car is not going to set the world on fire, but it's kind of smooth, it's comfortable, and it's not that noisy inside. The indicators are nice. What bothers me about a lot of these cars these days are all the little chimes when you've got the door open or something like that. There's always a little chime binging away at you, and these Vauxhalls have plenty of that. But anyway, I don't want to put it down too much. It's not that bad. Here we are, we just dropped a gear. For a 1.6 litre engine, it does go a little bit. It doesn't go too badly at all. Yeah. I could live with it, you know. I suppose this is the kind of car you'll go out and do your weekly shop, then go home and have your cup of tea, wash it maybe once a month. Yeah. I mean, they're a common car anyway, aren't they, Vauxhall Astras? Vauxhalls do make a lot of different cars. They've never really inspired me, but I think I'll stick to Fords, to be honest with you. But they're okay. The dash, the fascia, the instrument cluster, it's, you know, it's mediocre, but it's not that bad. But it drives okay. I can't really fault the actual driving experience of it. So anyway, I shall park this up, jump out and give you my final thought. So there we are, our Vauxhall Astra J 1.6 16 valve. It's not a bad looking car, to be honest with you. I do like the headlights and the front fog lights. And the actual shape of the car, it is kind of sporty looking. It certainly would look out of place on your driveway. The colour's quite nice as well. It's like a metallic pastel green. Very nice. Anyway, this car is now going to go on our sales lot. I guess I ought to tell you what it's going to be priced at. So Tyler, give me the price ticket. Thank you. 4295. How does that sound? By the way, we do check the prices of all these cars compared to the going rate in the area, so we try to be very competitive. Anyway, I shall put that down. That has to now go and be valeted, cleaned up properly, and a little bit of paintwork on the bottom of that sill where the paint was bubbling. We're going to get that sorted out properly. The fake burning the seat is going to need to be sewn up. A few little bits here and there, but we haven't really had to spend a whole lot of money to do this car. Not much wrong with it at all. I'm quite impressed. So anyway, we should get this parked up shortly, get it all finished, and put it up for sale. Anyway, if you like the videos, give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Adios.